Dog ownership, while ostensibly offering benefits to some people, presents several inconsistencies with animal welfare and causes significant harm to local fauna, other pets, livestock, and the environment. Pet ownership in general likewise causes significant harm to local fauna and the environment. This, again, despite ostensibly offering benefits to some people. Emphasis on some and ostensibly. Ostensibly means
apparently or purportedly, but perhaps not actually.
I only mention this because, to use dog ownership as an example, while many claim their owned animals are beneficial to them, what's never mentioned is that it comes with downsides for others. Seldom mentioned, in the case of dogs, is the harm to local fauna, other pets, livestock, and local environments. In the case of pets in general, the detrimental impact to wildlife and local environments is likewise scarcely mentioned.
But now, here's the thing. The very existence of dogs is predicated on animal cruelty. Every dog is an atrocity. Humans took a perfectly normal-looking wild animal and created these hideous abominations. These unfathomable monstrosities are said to be descended from an animal that looked a lot like this. Imagine for a second an alternate world or universe where everything is exactly the same, except for the fact that dogs do not exist. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? If someone took a wild canine and somehow, very rapidly, produced something that looks like a chihuahua, a pug, or a bulldog of some kind, we would be shocked and horrified at the results. Everyone would instantly recognize how aberrant and unnatural these genetic mutants are. It would be seen as what it is, a cruel desecration of nature. It is akin to mutilation. But because people are so used to seeing dogs, their unnatural appearance has been normalized, and many don't register it as something that should be considered unconscionable. It also takes a lot longer to get something like this from something that originally looks like this.
Inconsistencies between pet ownership and animal welfare include
breeding practices. Many animals are bred in poor conditions, with profit often prioritized over welfare. Puppy mills and backyard breeders often keep animals in cramped, unsanitary cages, breeding them repeatedly without adequate veterinary care or socialization. The unchecked and excessive breeding and overbreeding of dogs in general has resulted in all breeds today being prone to genetic disorders, health problems, and extreme behavioral issues, some more so than others. The demand for specific breeds or designer animals can also lead to further inbreeding, resulting in shorter lifespans and painful conditions. Then, there is pet overpopulation and abandonment. The uncontrolled breeding of pets contributes to a significant overpopulation crisis. Millions of pets enter shelters annually, and abandonment is a widespread issue. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated this problem, as many adopted pets were later surrendered when owners returned to their normal routines. There's also inadequate care and neglect, and the commodification of animals. The pet trade, particularly illegal online sales and pet shops, can normalize the view of animals as commodities rather than living beings.
Other inconsistencies between pet ownership and animal welfare include
harm to local fauna, other pets, livestock, and local environments. Pet ownership can have detrimental effects across various ecological and social spheres. Harm to local fauna and wildlife, predation and disturbance. Free-roaming dogs and cats are significant threats to wildlife populations. They prey on birds, mammals, reptiles, and other native species, contributing to biodiversity loss. Even leashed dogs can disturb wildlife, causing stress, disrupting foraging and defense behaviors, and lowering reproductive rates. The scent, urine, and feces left by dogs can also alter animal behavior, causing wildlife to avoid necessary habitats. Disease transmission. Pets can transmit zoonotic diseases, diseases transferable between animals and humans, to wildlife and vice versa. Unvaccinated dogs can spread rabies, distemper, and parvovirus to wild animals. Other diseases like giardiasis and toxoplasmosis can also be transmitted through pet waste. Hybridization. Free-ranging dogs can hybridize with wild canids, leading to genetic mixing that erodes local adaptations and reduces the genetic purity of wild populations. Habitat disruption. Pets roaming in natural habitats can contribute to habitat destruction and disturbance by trampling vegetation and disrupting nesting sites.
Then there is stuff like this.
Harm to livestock animals. Free-ranging dogs have been observed chasing and killing livestock. It seems many people have a sanitized and idealized view of dogs and dog behavior. However, the reality is that dogs are instinct-driven, artificially bred quasi-predators that are capable of brutal things. Dogs can also transmit diseases to livestock, impacting agricultural health. But the sheer brutality and carnage that can often be seen when dogs do attack livestock animals is truly horrific. It goes beyond surplus killing. The scene can more adequately be described as a slaughter. What is perhaps most enraging about this is that domestic dogs chase and kill livestock for enjoyment, not out of hunger.
I have to be careful about commenting on certain videos from other content creators. They invoke a very visceral response, which is to say, they make me very angry. I do not believe this anger is unjustified, just to make that abundantly clear. But dishonest dog worshippers are quick to take us out of context. They pretend they somehow don't understand what our issue with the existence of dogs is. And as I've said before, we don't randomly hate dogs just because they're here. We take issue with what they do while existing. That was a short clip from a previous video of mine titled, "We Hate Dogs Because We Love Life." The detrimental impacts of dogs, and pets in general, on the environment cannot be overstated. Most people are simply not aware how negative the consequences of pet ownership are, especially as it continues to be marketed aggressively and promoted so widely that pet ownership is beyond mainstream. But I will save that for a future installment, but not before adding a final note. Dogs are the easiest to oppose because they clearly have a far greater and much more noticeable social impact as compared with all other owned animals. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, stay dog-free and remember to never say the worthless dog's pointless name. This has been K-Nun Official.